Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. We're stitching up some Drunkard's Path blocks today, so if you want to see how to make a block like this, please stay tuned. So I've been working with this fabric for the Drunkard's Path quilt. If you don't remember, this is my fabric that I got on my trip to Jamaica a few years ago, and some denim that I'm working with. So far I've made 6 of these blocks, and there are 2 basic layouts. The first layout is with the Jamaican fabric as the crust or the outside of the block, and the denim with the inside. And then I have the reverse, so the denim's on the outside with the crust on the inside of the block. And once we put these together, there are lots of different ways that we can lay them out. So I'm really excited to see what happens with this. One thing about these fabrics is this Jamaican fabric, it is not 100% cotton. It's kind of raveling. So I'm trying to be as gentle with it as I can. Once I stitch with it, I'm just going to put it away so I don't pull at it too much. Here we have the other pieces that I've cut for both the crust and the pie parts of this Drunkard's Path. And I'm actually going to show 2 techniques to making this block. One that uses a lot of pins, so when you're just starting out you can do it that way. The second one with almost no pins, so hopefully you can see how simple this block is to put together. So let's get to it. So we'll start with the technique for piecing this block. Like if you're just starting out, or you haven't pieced one in a while and you need to get back into the routine. So what you start with is your 2 pieces. Right now I use the denim and as the crust and the Jamaican fabric as the pie. And then you'll need some pins here. And for this technique you need a lot of pins. And then once you're stitching, you'll need a stiletto. This is a Fons and Porter stiletto. I'm still trying to figure out how to use this thing. But when you purchase it, it comes with a plastic tip. But you can take that part off and the metal may give you a better grip to push down on your fabric. But either way you want to work it is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to pin this. When you're stitching, you want the crust part to be on the top. I've tried it both ways, but this way you can actually see where the puckers are going to be and you can kind of avoid them. So before we start pinning, I'm going to fold this in half and put a finger crease right on the center seam. And I'm actually going to do this for both pieces. You probably can't see it very well on the denim, actually on either of these fabrics, because they're not 100% cotton. If they were 100% cotton, you probably would be able to see it a little bit easier. Alright, and then I'm going to turn the pie section, and I'm going to put the crust on top, and I'm going to align the centers. Let me double check and make sure that I have it in the right place. Okay, good. So center, center. And I'm going to put a pin in the center, and then I'll put a pin at both ends. So in order to get to this part, I have to kind of turn the fabric to align it at the ends. And this section, for this technique, it's a lot of work up front, but hopefully easier at the machine. And the other one is just the opposite, but you know, both of them are fairly simple. And then I'm going to pin the other end again by turning this piece so that the ends line up. So I just turned it so that they line up this way. And I'm going to put a pin at the end. Now for this next part, I'm just going to take the center of each of these little parts, line up the center, and then put some pins around it. And with this way, I can kind of finagle so that I can see the curve coming together before I actually stitch it. And so I put one at approximately the center, and then the center here and center here. So let me place those. One thing that's interesting about these particular fabrics is they don't seem to really have a bias. If you're working with our normal 100% cotton quilting fabrics, the curve will happen a little bit easier just because you are on a bias. But even with these fabrics, it's no big deal. The blocks still look good. So I'm pinning the next midpoint, and then I'm going to do the same on this end. So I'm going to kind of finagle it so that we pin midpoint first. And it takes a second to line it up, but it's going to be worth it, I think. And even if it's not perfect, like I don't think that one's perfect, but I think it's a great start. Okay. And then it's midpoint and midpoint. Okay, and of course here you can add as many pins or as few pins as you like. So this is what it looks like here with all the pins. Now I'm going to go to the machine. Before I do that, let me show you. I did it the other colorway as well, so that I'm going to do both of these at once. And for me, it's good to do these two at a time because this way, if we finish in the middle, then it doesn't matter. You still have enough of each colorway. So I'm at the machine now, and I have my 1/4 inch foot. I actually have another thing that I've been working on already in the machine to kind of be a leader ender for me. And then I'll take the stiletto. I'm not sure if I'm gonna need it, but I'm just gonna I have my 1/4 inch here. So I'm gonna start stitching with my 1/4 inch. Okay, and then when I get to a pin, take it out. And I can kind of finagle this with my fingers, and just keeping that 1/4 inch in mind, taking the pins out as you get to them. And surprisingly, it really stitches easily. Okay. Even with this denim, it really is not hard to stitch at all. Okay, and then just a little bit more to go. Taking out the pins as you go, it seems to hold its shape really well, and you don't even have to worry about really matching up the fabrics because we already took care of that with our pre-pinning. If you get to a funky part where you think there's going to be a pucker, I just kind of use my finger to finagle the pucker out of the way. Let's see. Make sure it's not going to pucker on me. I don't think it will. Okay. And then I'm going to remove this pin, and let's see what's left. Okay, and so I have my needle down, and you can, even with that, you just see I move the fabric out of the way, and then I raise the presser foot. Okay, and the last part is still pinned, so I'm just kind of holding it and finagling my fabric as I need to. Okay, and then I'm going to remove this last pin, and hopefully there are no puckers. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the next one, and then I'll take them both off. Again, this one has all the pins in, so I'll do this off camera, and then I'll show you what they look like.
Which one, that?
So I finished the block, but I made a little error. So I'm going to show you how to fix this error. I think I can fix it, and then and I think it also helped because I won't need as many pins to fix this error. So what I did was, as I was stitching and I had the crust piece on the top, when I stitched it together, some of the some of the part that was not supposed to be in the seam allowance got in the seam allowance. So I don't know if you can see right in there. There's a little flap of fabric that should not be there. Can we see it? Okay, so what I'm going to do is just rip those seams out. I'm just using my seam ripper, going in on the denim side because I'm not 100% sure of this other fabric, but I don't think it'll do well with having a seam ripper go through it. And then I'm going to go back and fix it, and then I think as I do it I can fix it the no pin way or the very few pin way. So I'll show you how to do that, and then I'll fix this one using that other way. So let's see if I can get the, oh, there we go. So, oh look. So there it is, and I'm going to repair it. This is the part, these are the seams that are coming off. And I'm just going to pop one pin in here, and I think I can repair it. But before I do that, let me show you the very few pin way. I have my other piece here. Okay, so this is my pie crust. All right, and going this way, we're only going to use 3 pins. Again, making that center finger press line. Okay, and then on both sides, crust on top, and then lining them up. And so I'm only going to pin 3 places. I'm pinning the center seam, and then the top and the bottom. Okay, and hopefully once I show you this on the machine, hopefully it'll be fairly simple to grasp the concept. It's not hard. These Drunkard's Path blocks, they look hard. This curve piecing looks tough, but it just takes, you know, the same amount of focus that you would take stitching anything else. You know, and just being careful of that 1/4 inch, and you really get some nice pieces. Alright, so I'm going to take this piece to the machine, and I'm actually going to do, I'll do both of them. Let me pop a pin in here. I don't even know where the pin's going to go. I don't think it matters. So, just popping a pin in there. And actually, I probably don't even need the pin because the rest of the block is already sewn, but I'm going to pop a pin in just in case. Okay. Now, for this section, it's exactly the same technique, starting at the beginning. And then the only difference is right now, we're just going to line up the pieces of the block as we go. Line up each section as we go. Alright, so I'm starting with the 1/4 inch seam here. And then stop every, you know, I don't know, every 1/2 inch or so. And I'm just lining this part up with my hand. Alright, so you can see that the top here, I'm just lining it up with my fingers. Okay, and then going along and stitching a little bit at a time, then stop, adjust, and hopefully it will be the same with the 100% cotton fabric, because it does have that bias. Okay, and then again, still same thing. Okay, and then when I got to the center section, I am going to take that pin out, but I want to line up a little bit more first. Okay, so taking out the pin, maintaining that 1/4 inch seam as best you can. And one cool thing about this is that I don't have to worry about, I'm not going to worry about squaring up any blocks until I get them all done. So I know what finished size I want to end up with, because they're all a little bit different. But again, so it's basically the same process, except that there are no pins. So whichever way you choose to do it is perfectly fine. And I did watch a video with Eleanor Burns, and she did it with no pins, but she used the die cuts, and there was a notch in the center of each piece that she could line up, and so she did it with no pins. I thought it was amazing. But I'm not no pin brave yet. I'm only 3-pin brave right now. All right, and then, you know, at the end, if you're feeling like your fingers aren't gonna make it, then you would use your stiletto, which I can't find. So use your stiletto and hold that fabric down while you finish up the seam. Okay, so right now, I'll go ahead and show how to repair this other one. This is the denim on top. I'm going to pull this one out. This is the one that we just made. And I'm going to leave both of these. I'm going to leave them in order. Okay. And then I'm going to show how I repaired this other one. Hopefully we can show all 3 of these at the same time. Alright, so I'm just starting a little bit above the, where the seams were ripped. Okay. And then just following the same step that I just did. Okay, and then removing that pin. And using my fingers to line up the next little section. And then whenever you have to stop, make sure you stop with the needle down, because that's going to help. And since I'm redoing, I just put a little back stitch on there. Alright, so now it's time to look at 3 of these. The first one was actually the reverse block that was made with all the pins. And here it is. Okay, so it's very nice. And for this fabric, the seam allowances, they automatically want to go to the lighter fabric, which is that the Jamaican fabric. So I'm going to let them go there, and I'm pressing them all that way. This is the one with just 3 pins. Let's see it. Oh, wow. Okay, so very much the same. Okay, there's one small pucker, but no worries. All right, and then here's one more. This is the one with the repair that I just made. Let me move these out of the way. All right, and then I have another one that I'm going to stitch with the 3 pins. So let me stitch this one up, and I'll show you all 4, and I'll go ahead and give them a press before we do that. So these are the 4 blocks that I made. I don't really remember which were made by which technique. But you can see they all look pretty close. So whatever you decide to do with, when you're putting these together, if you want to just do the, if you want to do a whole bunch of pins, or if you want to do no pins, either way, I think will be fine. Now so there are lots of different ways to lay out the blocks of this quilt, but I'm going to wait until I have all the blocks done, because I want to explore lots of different combinations at once. If you have any questions about this video, please leave them in the comments below. I'm not sure about the camera work. Normally, you guys know my son Cameron is the camera guy most of the time, but he just broke his wrist. And so right now you're seeing the wonders of one-armed cameramanning. So if you would send him some shouts out and well wishes in the comments. He just got his cast this weekend, so he still has 5 to 6 weeks of cast on his wrist. So I'm sure that his camera work is really great, but please give him some congratulations in the comments and some well wishes. We want him to get better soon and to heal completely. Thanks so much for watching. Please thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and I'll see you next time. Bye!